Hi, I'm Mark Woods with Southeastern Mineral Specimens. Many of you have met me at the gem shows that I promote, or I've made bases for your collections, and that's definitely the way I make my living, but I am a collector first and foremost. And so I thought I would take a break today from doing graphic design and emails and spreadsheets and all that crap that's necessary behind the scenes and show you a little bit of my collection. And I think I'll post a few different little videos here spread out over time. So this is just a shelf I have some fluorites on, and let's get right to it and I'll show you. Please pardon the dust. Here's a lovely little fluorite. Focus on sphalerite. And this is from the Elmwood mine in Tennessee. Pardon the dust. Bane of every collector, really. And here's another one. And if you notice on the tag, it says the Walt Gaylord Collection. And Walt was a mine engineer for the company that was working this mine. I think he was there for about 2 decades. He is a fascinating guy to talk to. And many of these I acquired from him in trade for services, making custom bases for his collection, which, let me tell you what, that is a real privilege to be able to work on things like what he has, and then to acquire a few myself. This is a great little calcite on sphalerite, and what I'm told is that this shard of sphalerite here is actually a reheal, so it was broken at some point in the mine and then rehealed, and I set it in the acrylic. You can see it's sawed on the bottom, and it's held up by a post underneath there. But from the front, it appears to be really free floating there. It's really just a knocker. It's got some barite on the back there, if you notice, but the real draw is that amazing lustrous calcite. And here's another fantastic one. Just check out the luster and the form and the color. Just really not going to come through on video, of course. But here's another one I got from Walt. And he had some bases pre-engraved. And then I set a bunch of them for him, for his collection, in trade for some specimens for my own. And so this one's really cool. It is these wonderful purple cubes with a dark purple outer edge and on sphalerite. That ruby, sorry about the focus, the ruby jack underneath there. Here's one I had before I met Walt, and I think I might have gotten it from Dan Weinrich. And it's a really neat little piece. It's got this piece of dolomite on the side here with some great little cubes over there, and then sphalerite all over, and then a bunch more cubes, that famous purple from there. And all of these I set in their bases. Now, I specifically asked one time Walt, he was coming down to the Athens show, and I made a bunch of bases for him after the show. And I said, I'd really like to have a nice combination piece. And of course, the minerals from there are sphalerite and fluorite and barite and calcite, and he said it's a little too much to ask probably to get all 4 of them together. But here we've got sphalerite and galena. And it's kind of a light purple fluorite on there. Is that what I said? Calcite, sphalerite, fluorite, galena, barite. There's actually 5. So this has 3 of them on there in this one specimen. Then here's another one I got from him. It says X Collection Walt Gaylord. It's really interesting to me how that purple concentrates around whatever that is right there on the surface of the cubes on little, I don't know about it. I'm sure somebody does know about the color centers and why it appears around those little pieces of either dolomite or sphalerite or something there, but that's a real super one. And then the last one I think I have from Elmwood is this amazing little aesthetic piece. And I think this might have been something I got from Dan Weinrich on an auction as well. And it really shows the scattering of purple dots on the surface. But it's just a super aesthetic piece. And I set it, and it wouldn't naturally stand up like it does. But I just thought that was the way it needed to be. So that's the way I did it. And actually there is one more Elmwood here. It's a little calcite on sphalerite. That one says Stephen Rittlinger collection. So I'm not sure where I got that one. Probably Dan Weinrich again in an auction or something. This is a really neat little thing here. It's from the Annabelle Lee mine in Hardin County, Illinois. And it's super lustrous, which is going to be impossible to capture here, I'm sure. But it's just like a little glass cube. And it's that kind of honey color on the inside. Then it has that dark purple rind. Oh, it's just super. Well, speaking of Hardin County, Illinois, there's a big one from the Denton mine back there. And it's pretty cool. This is a weird little guy here. This is from Missouri, actually, Sweetwater Mine, Charles Knoll collection. I'm pretty sure that's a Dan Weinrich auction that I won there. Marcasite, the iridescent marcasite on calcite. You can really see the calcite shapes that are covered in that iridescent sulfide. Really super cool. And there's another little Denton mine piece, cute little thing. That piece that it's mounted on is a piece of countertop marble that that's how I started doing bases, is I was getting that stuff from a waste pile behind a manufacturer. And it turns out marble's really heavy, and granite. And so I moved over to the acrylic, which you can then fit to your specimens. And that's what I do for my customers now, is custom fit. So this is a calcite limestone. Now this is a really rare one because it's from the Lafayette mine, Walker County, Georgia. And, you know, we have these artificial political boundaries, Georgia, Tennessee, whatever. But as far as calcites found in Georgia, I think this is pretty much a stunner as far as the color and the luster and the form. Really something. That one's got a little bit of a story behind it. A couple was downsizing and moving into an RV, and they came into one of my shows and met me and pulled out this, 20-pound rock with a bunch of these on it. And I bought it from them, and then I broke it up into different pieces. I got a few for sale, smaller ones, but I kept this one for myself. All right, so moving on to some international here. So this is a famous Irongo, Namibia. It's a fluorite on schorl, this black tourmaline in the back here. The Irongo tourmaline characteristically has that green with the purple on it. The alien eyes, I think, were from there. This is a, not quite like that example, but it's definitely an example of that stuff. So let's see if I can get this right. Riemvasmak, South Africa. I'd love to hear them pronounce it. This is a little cut stone and a lovely octahedron on top of some other octos on, not sure what the matrix is there, but these are rich in some kind of rare earth mineral, yttrium or something, and they fluoresce quite well. Maybe I'll come back with a blacklight and show some of these that fluoresce. Of course, fluorite is famous for fluorescing. Imagine that. All right, let's see. What else have we got here? Here's an Okaruso in Namibia, and that's just kind of a characteristic piece. It's a glassy luster and got the purple on top of the kind of honey browns and stuff. Pretty neat little thing there. All right, so this one's a little more unusual. It's fluorite and calcite, and it's from Dalnogorsk, Russia, and it's from the Dr. Stephen Smale collection by way of Jeff Krasnoff, Geocrazy, and got this in a trade with him. And it's the fluorites are just ice cubes. I mean, they are clear, clear, clear. They might as well be lead crystal or something. And then they're on a bed of calcites on this side. This one I cleaned and then mounted. Still has kind of some of the original, I don't know, matrix or mud or something. I didn't want to be too aggressive with cleaning it though, because it's really quite interesting. I think that's another Okurusu in the back there. See if I can show that. Some pretty glassy cubes, light green, really neat little thing there. Looks like there's probably some quartz and calcites and the usual kind of stuff there. So here's one I got this summer from Persian Rare Minerals, Phil Persian out in Colorado. And I never thought I would get to have something this nice, frankly. It was only because he was willing to work partially with a trade with me. And thank you, Phil, for that. This is really just one of my favorite fluorites. I didn't really start out being a fluorite guy. I'm a later in life convert, maybe, to the fluorites. But boy, this one is really something. It is the La Viesca mine in Spain. And the phantom in there is just stunning, I think. So here's a cool one from the Nika mine in Mexico. And it's a little hard to capture on video, although it actually looks like you can see it. So it's sitting on a bed of, I think, quartz, and then there are pyrrhotite coins back there. And then the black is maybe cassiterite or something. I don't know. But the fluorites are really neat. They have a little tiny little mint green stripe on their outer side there, you can kind of see. And they're set off really nicely with the golden pyrrhotite. And it says it's pyrite after pyrrhotite. So I guess it started off as pyrrhotite and then pseudomorphed out to, anyway, I don't know. I'm not an expert on that stuff. I'll just think it's pretty. And then there's a Frosterley, Durham, England piece. I'm going to try and get a better one of these at some point. This one's cool. It's got some quartz on the right side and the typical green cubes. And they're pretty good, but I think there's better to be had out there. So I'll be upgrading that one at some point. And then the last one or two on this shelf. Here is a fluorite on quartz from Shigar Valley, Pakistan. And I got this from Michael Self, I believe. And he's actually asked if he could have it back. So I don't know, maybe he'll get it back at some point, but it's really pretty neat. And then here's a fluorite from Mexico, Mapimi in Mexico, and apparently from the El Filo vein, Santa Librada. And that's Durango, Mexico. And it's these lovely purple, light lavender cubes with lots of little ones in there. Lots and lots and lots of little ones. And it looks like some calcite, and maybe it's on dolomite, or I don't know. I could probably look it up and tell you. But okay, so that's it for the top of the fluorite shelf. I hope that was enjoyable and not too boring. And I will make another one of the next shelf down if everybody liked this.